Hello, everyone. Disgusting cheap white wine. I noticed that one of my videos has a lot more views than usual. From however many days ago. 7 likes, 6 comments, 300 some views, 350 views. That's a lot more than usual, isn't it? Usually I have like 10. But I always send these videos out to like 400 people 3 times a day. And so that doesn't necessarily like mean anything in and of itself. I haven't read the comments. I can't look at it. I'm terrified to look at it. This is like my self-conscious. Right? I don't need people to tell me that, oh, you need help and all these things. But I would hope that at least one person said such emotional depth. I bet you are a really good actor. Right? I was in my crying. There's like a lot of crying. You know, we're in the crying phase now. It's just sad and yucky and all these things. Not because we're all fucked up, but because we're all fucked up. Right? The Quentin had this design. And what I'll say is that, like, I wrote my first real novel around the time that he started playing his games with me, which was December of 2023. Novel right November. That was the first time where I was like, oh, here's the story, and I saw the whole thing. I saw like how to write beginning, middle, end, and that was its own crossroads, and it's called Sea Dream. And it's about a quadriplegic who has recurring dreams about the ocean. And it's very good, actually. It is like it's a real novel, you know. And it's got a strong female character. Her name is Coral, and she's a nurse who like watches over this boy. I can't remember his name, but I wrote this novel about a quadriplegic, you know, who can't move, he can't speak. He's locked like in his chair, you know. And I guess he can breathe. I don't know that I like technically addressed like all the nuance of it, but my point is that I am him. I think his name is Posthumous. Like in The Tragedy of Cymbeline, because I had just acted in that film. And posthumous is a word that Shakespeare coined as far as after death, right? Post-mortem, peri-mortem, all these things. Posthumous, right? He was named Posthumous because, right? And so, the character is named Posthumous because his father named him Posthumous because his mother died in childbirth, right? Just like the character in the play. And so my point is that like that was me reconciling my physical and psychological shortcomings in the world like in an artistic sort of healthy way where like I always feel that despite how dashing and handsome I am and how much I have to say, I typically feel that I have no place in the world, that I can't talk to people, I can't like nothing that I do means anything. All this ambulation, like all this words, and I feel like I'm lost in the world, you know? And so my point is that that's what the movie critic became for Quentin, right? That he has, right? This is real magic, you know? This is real deep-seated psychological trauma. And to bring it back to the video, my point is that there's a real emotional depth in that video, that there's like real tears, you know, like real trauma, real love and desire to heal and like move forward and feel that life is beautiful and all those things. And so Sea Dream ends with Posthumous addressing the world, but really it ends, and that's the epilogue. That's not the end of the book. The end of the book ends with him using machine learning to say the first things that he can say because they're analyzing his brainwave patterns and offering speech predictions. And it says Sea Dream. That's like because he always has these dreams about the ocean. You get it? And it's pretty fucking awesome, actually. It's hardcore, It's like hardcore science fiction. It's not too far from the truth, intellectually and scientifically. And so my point is that I wonder what they do say. I wonder... Right, again, I can't look at the comments. I don't care what people have to say. Doesn't matter. Like, I'm schizophrenic and all these things. They're shallow, right? Answers, intellectually. They're not true answers. They're cynicism. That's what it actually is. I'll say I saw a comment earlier that said, I'm here to listen. And said, oh, that's a real comment. That's a genuine, sincere comment. It doesn't matter what I have to say, that they're like, they like to hear what I have to say. It doesn't matter what they have to say intellectually or spiritually or emotionally. And I loved that. I said, oh, that's a good comment, thanks. I did reply to that comment. Right? I don't know what the answer is. I don't know that there's like a clear cut and dry like way to like handle this, because he's handled it in such a way. If we say that metaphysics is a rarefied science that very few people understand in full, is it really so far-fetched that if everyone around you is ignorant as sin, that you could not, right, support and foster an entire industry's ignorance to such an attenuated degree that they would help you exact a deep sadistic crime upon multiple people for multiple years? Like, is that... Kind of makes a lot of sense to me. Man, the thought that I had however long ago was like NXIVM's sex cult, but it's like way bigger than that. Way bigger than that. And I haven't met any of those women. Like, I'm sure they have strong opinions. Like, if I tried to say that, anyway, my point is that it does actually track that Variety and the Hollywood Reporter and all of the press establishment in the world would take what Quentin and his people have to say as gospel, not only because he'll bury them in litigation if they report on it, but because they don't genuinely understand what is occurring. And so, that's like where I'm at, where I see that he has the money and he has the name, and he's like slandering me to the public, all under the aegis that no one will ever fully holistically appreciate what is occurring, because it requires decades of study. Yes, that's the point, right? Like that's the real point. That there's less than 100 people in the world, like less than 50 people in the world, who can hear both sides of the argument completely and have a legitimate intellectual opinion. That's like what I'm saying. And since he's famous and since he has all the money, right, that when he says things, right, doesn't matter what the women say, because the women don't know shit. Doesn't matter what your heart tells you, because you don't fucking know shit. I know what time it is. I'm Quentin Tarantino. And it's very ugly. So yucky. The thought that I had, which I tried to make a video earlier, and I got cut off by my family, and I pushed stop instead of pause, and I was upset about it for a second, but I'm not upset anymore. But the thought that I had earlier was that, like, maybe I've been seeing this whole thing wrong. Maybe I really have been seeing this entire saga through my skewed perspective. And that if the truth is that the women were all hot for me immediately, right, which is not impossible. It's not impossible. Right? That when Quentin stopped accepting my mail and announced that Brad Pitt was playing the role, right? And this is where it like kind of touches on like adolescence in some way, and it really upsets me, but I understand how broken he is. That is it not just as likely, for all that like I was hurt and said, oh, like what a fucking asshole, that the women around him were simultaneously raging at the studios, were simultaneously raging at Quentin, raging at Brad Pitt, saying, this is a fucked up movie. We like him. We like actually like him. We want to do all the things that you want to do in the film with him and no one else. And here's 100 reasons why. Like, does that not, that kind of like actually makes a lot of sense. If it's got a bunch of deep-seated sexual fucked up shit around it, right? That if Quentin is processing his fucked up sexual identity with these women in front of the camera, does that not, like, that kind of makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And so my point is that, like, the reality is that, like, maybe he wasn't making the movie from January of 2024 through April of 2024 when he canceled the film. And that this is where, like, my clairvoyance was lacking because, like, I'm so pure and so, like, not sexual and, like, all sincerity, all love, and all trust, right? All gullibility. Right? Does that not, like, kind of, like, make a lot of sense that those women were like, you don't control his mind. You don't possess his mind. This isn't the end of it. He's not going to take no for an answer. He's going to expect you to say something. He's too strong. And everyone around him was like, well, what do you have to say about, like, what they think about it? And he would say, oh, well, I'll wait until he says something. Like, does that kind of, like, makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And when I started reviewing movies in protest, he canceled it immediately because he was always waiting on me to make a move. Like, isn't that kind of makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And so because I hate esotericism in, like, a practical way, I hate magic, I hate occultism, fuck the bullshit, I don't need my compass, I don't need to, like, use intention, like, just embrace me and, like, call me son and, like, tell me what you need. Like, that's, like, how I see it. But if he's so, like, lost in this, like, world of, like, rarefied occultism, does it not make a lot of sense that they would say, I expect you to speak to this man like a man. And when he did everything like he's always done, like with Tribeca, with this huge event, and when I didn't give him what he wanted, right, and I burned him, does it not make sense that the women were like, oh, this is kind of what I love about this guy. Like, this is kind of like, no, I need to speak to him. I need to see him. Fuck your weird mind bullshit. He doesn't like playing. We don't like playing it anymore. Doesn't that kind of makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? If he has unresolved psychological, sexual complexes with himself, with the world, with his profession. Right? So I'm not saying that all these people that commented on how I'm schizophrenic, like, need to, like, discount their feelings. But what I'm saying is, do you know any of these women personally? Like, do you actually know any of these people personally? Or are you just, like, blowing diarrhea out of your ass like anyone else with an opinion? I'm prepared to accept that we all have diarrhea sometimes. Like, I get that. But what I'm saying is that, like, it's just time for show business to mature a little bit. It's time for all of us to recognize that we're all flawed, right? And this is my point with Leonardo DiCaprio and, like, Quentin's weird sexual shit. Like, it's obvious to me, and I don't like talking about this. I'm probably going to stop soon because I've been going for 13 minutes. But, like, what I'm saying is that, like, Quentin's been wrestling with this part of his identity, right? And maybe that's why he got married on a fundamental level, was to lie to himself, was to say, oh, see, I'm whole. Like, here's this, like, beautiful celestial goddess, right? And that he wanted... Right? And this is where it's sad. This is where it's so sad on the part of Leo and everyone's emotional immaturity. That he, like, did everything that he did with Leo and Daniela because he wanted him to look him in the eye and say, what's going on? You know, what's occurring? Like, what, are you okay? Do you need to talk about something? Right? But Leo, being 15 in his mind... all he could say was, oh, your wife's so fine, your wife's so fine, your wife's so fine. And Quentin, in his mind, is seeing Daniela saying, I want babies, I want babies, I want babies. You get what I'm saying right now? Right? That this is, like, deep psychological shit, right? And so for Leo to do that thing and then not go to Quentin, right? Like, are they cool? Like, are they best buddies? Like, I'm pretty sure that Leo thinks he's weird and threw him under the bus immediately. I'm pretty sure that's, like, what occurred, right? And so that's where I come in. That's where we're all here in the room together because I do love Quentin and I want him to resolve, right, what troubles him in his mind. And so, right, let's all love each other and be good.